Hello all, this is JC3 from Is This Real? Do you want to start your own podcast? Then look no further than Buzzsprout.com. We here at Green Hour Media use Buzzsprout, and we love the team at Buzzsprout. They are all about helping you succeed. Buzzsprout gets your show listed in every major podcast platform. Follow the link in our show notes to let Buzzsprout know that we sent you. It gets you a $20 paid Amazon gift card if you sign up with a paid plan and helps support our show. Join us and over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout.com to get your message out to the world. Welcome everybody to a fantastic episode of Is This Real? Today we have a interesting topic for you. It's a topic that we haven't really touched on, and we should have at the beginning of this because it's one of the most interesting topics that everybody believes. At the same time, they'll sit there and say, well, they make jokes about it, and that's really the it's a grandiose scale. It's the New World Order, Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. Now, we're talking about one of the integral parts of the Illuminati tonight. But before we get into that person and that family name, I'll introduce everybody like I usually do. Dad, welcome.
How you doing?
Mr. West, what's up, Eric?
Konbawa.
Roadblock, what's good, Jay?
Yo, what's up, everybody? How's it going?
So, getting back to the topic, we're talking about the Rothschild dynasty.
Oof.
The big one. The big kahuna.
Definitely a big
if
one.
they say.
The big empanada.
But, okay,
Extra
so
cotton in that bitch.
let's talk about the history of the Rothschilds and, before we get into any conspiracy theories about them, allegedly. So basically,
You want me to start off?
yeah, you could start it off, Jay.
Okay, all right. So, Rothschild family, for everyone who doesn't know, is the most famous European banking dynasty probably ever. For 200 years, they've exerted great influence on the economic and indirectly the political history of Europe. The house was founded by Mayer Amschel Rothschild.
That's how you say his name?
I believe so.
I was saying it as Amschel.
He's German, so I don't know how to pronounce his name.
And there's
Von
Eric.
Rothschild, something like that.
Mayer Amschel. I'm just pronouncing it
We
as the
lost
way
to
I
Germany.
see
I got
By the
a
way.
question for you guys, but go ahead.
Already?
No, yeah.
We'll let him ask. I'm just saying. I'm just
I love you,
pronouncing
Germany.
it as how I see it. I'm sorry if I'm
Amschel.
butchering it. But that is his name. Birthday is February 23rd, 1744.
Yep.
Him and his 5 sons, which oddly enough, the first one is Amschel Mayer, born June 12, 1773. Solomon Mayer, born September 9th, 1774. Nathan Mayer, born September 16th, 1777. Carl Mayer was born April 24, 1788. And Jacob or James, I don't know why that's an or, but Jacob or James Mayer was born May 15, 1792.
When was Oscar born?
Oscar. There's an
Oscar Mayer.
Oh my God.
There's more of them.
The fact that I actually fell
he has
for that.
daughters too.
I feel
Well,
embarrassed.
we'll get into that
The
a little
dumbest
bit
fucking
because
thing I could have said.
we'll get into that later because there's an interesting history behind his daughters and why they don't.
Does
talk
anybody
about
know what the name means? I want to know right off the bat.
Rothschild?
Rothschild.
Doesn't it mean something Red Cross?
Red Shield.
Red Shield?
Rich Hill. I
Red
didn't know
Shield.
that.
I didn't know that either.
All right, so that's him and his 5 sons. They basically started out in Frankfurt banking house.
Yeah.
Mayer and his sons became international bankers, establishing branches in London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples by the 1820s. And in addition to banking and financing, they have encompassed mining, energy, real estate, winemaking. From the early 19th century, the family has been known for its considerable charitable activities, particularly in the arts and education.
All right, so more onto that, more of the bank has stuff. They have development in international finance. They have business. Their business grew from foreign exchange to merchant banking, private banking, asset management, mergers and acquisitions, insurance, venture capital, pensions, and investments. There we go. I thought that was you. Pensions and investments, sovereign debt, and commodities.
Who was the one from London? Because I heard he was the one that got that family like really, really rich.
Yes, I'm gonna get right into that. So we have. They also did infrastructure projects in bridges, tunnels, and railways, and their most notable project was this Suez Canal. Suez, I pronounced that correctly?
Yes.
Their family history dates back to...
Or if you're from Alabama, it's the Suez Canal.
I hate you.
There
their
goes
family
Louisiana.
their family history
Alabama.
dates back
Those
to
are too.
1450s to the 1450s in Frankfurt. They facilitated payments from Britain for the hiring of Hessian mercenary soldiers during the French Revolution. That's interesting. So basically, they got mercenaries for Britain during the French Revolution.
They were also weren't they also supplying Napoleon too on his side?
Well, no, they were, but they also they were lending government to finance wars.
Hold on, but the interesting part about that right there, and I'm sure you guys may know this, when they were doing that, when they were supplying money to one army,
Like the gold.
they
and
were
stuff,
also
right?
supplying money to the other army.
Yeah.
They didn't give a shit. They kill each other. They're
Whoever pays them back.
they're just lending money because both sides need it, and they don't give a rat's ass who's going to win. But they were making money, and that's how they finance more and more stuff. So that's very true.
But getting to your point before, Eric, about his daughters, Mayer, I believe, Mayer Rothschild, before he died, gave a detailed outlook list of how his inheritance can be spread. The title and properties can only be passed to the male line. Female descendants excluded from his inheritance. That also encouraged marriage in the family between first and second cousins.
Sickos.
Yes. So the Rothschilds have been basically fucking each other for centuries.
Well, it explains the royal family. You just look at fucking Prince Charles.
And to another point,
His mother and father had to be cousins.
Nathan was the one that went to London. Nathan May Rothschild is the most successful son. He moved to London to set up N.M. Rothschild in 1810. In 2019, the bank is still up and running. 2019, the bank reported 1.87 billion euros in revenue and 76 billion euros in asset under management. Now, that was the backstory of what the Rothschilds are and how their family is obviously big and powerful. The conspiracy theories surrounding the Rothschilds, there's two main ones. And number one is the central bank control. Basically, they are said to have controlled all banking systems in the world besides three countries: Cuba, the Islamic Republic, and North Korea. And who mostly do everybody have problems with? Cuba, the Islamic Republic, which is Iran, and North Korea.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, Ryan. Hi, this is Sarah Palin.
Ryan, Donald Trump Jr.
Hogs to win, see you. Hey, everybody, I want y'all to check out a fellow Marines podcast.
My name is Ted Nugent, and I got a call from my buddy Ryan F. Samuels, and he wants me to tell you that he's a working hard, playing all-American son of a who is celebrating God, family, country.
Welcome to the Ryan Samuels Show, one of the top political podcasts in the United States, where we have a healthy distrust for government and mainstream media. The Ryan Samuels Show is a raw, unfiltered look at American politics.
You're absolutely right, and the reason there's a reason why everybody was going after Syria. Okay, and it wasn't because they were using gas on their own people. It wasn't because of that's what they're telling you. But the leader of Syria, Muammar Gaddafi, I believe was that Syria?
Gaddafi, I feel like that was... Oh, man, Gaddafi, that was...
Or who's Robin Williams say, no more Gaddafi dog.
Okay. This guy was basically... His economy was based around his money and his assets. He didn't have anybody. He wasn't. Nobody was in his pocket. He did what he wanted to do, and he called his own shots. And who had problems with him? We had problems with him. Reagan had problems with him. Russia had problems with him. Everybody that was being funded by the Rothschilds had problems with him because Rothschilds needed to control that country. And the Rothschild don't give a rat's ass who's controlling the country. They just want to make sure that they control the money in that country.
Yeah.
And ask this question to everybody on this panel. You had 2 presidents in this country that were killed, shot in the head.
Lincoln
and John Kennedy.
Both opposed Federal Reserve.
Both opposed the Federal Reserve and both printed their own money, greenbacks they were called. So that's got to tell you. Now you go online, like if you go to eBay or whatever, and you try to buy a greenback from, it's very expensive because they're very rare.
Well, I'll piggy bank off that. They're said to have control of the Federal Reserve, the Rothschilds.
Without a doubt, the Federal Reserve. Again, the Federal Reserve is not federal. Is Federal Express federal? Is Federal Express federal?
No, it's
so why do we automatically think that the Federal Reserve System is federal? It's not. It was formed in 1913 off an island and on Jekyll Island in Georgia. Now that basically there's 10 member banks, and none of them are American. They control every ounce of currency that comes to the United States. Okay, they print our money, it's against the Constitution. Okay, the Constitution says Congress is the only body that can print and coin our money. And for years and years and years, when we were on the gold standard, when Nixon took us off the gold standard, we were basing our money on gold that we had. We couldn't print, if you only had $1 million in gold, you only print $1 million of money. That made money worth something. Now, money doesn't mean shit because what happens is...
It's just getting printed and printed and printed.
They gave it to the Federal Reserve. And how that works is basically if the government goes to if the government needs a new satellite and we don't have the money in our account, we go to the Federal Reserve and say, look, we need to borrow money. And what that is we're borrowing money against banks that are owned by the Rothschilds, okay, by the Germans, Russia, I guess China has banks in there. Okay, I don't know the exact number, of banks and who they're owned by. However, they're not ours. And we put a figurehead every year. The president appoints one, and that's, it makes it look good in people's eyes. But it's not federal. And when you keep printing more and more and more and more money, more dollar bills that are out there based on nothing, it's like a soup. If you have a pot of soup and it's very strong, you keep adding water to it, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And that's exactly what happens to our monetary system. We're printing fiat. It's called fiat capital, and what that does is it's killing us, and it's killing. But we are now the national debt is all the money that we borrowed from these guys. We're borrowing. I'll give you a case in point. I don't want to hog this all up, but
you have a lot to say. We know
there's a lot to it. That's what I'm saying. This is not something you're going to do. You're not going to do. One episode on. What happens is when they're giving this bailout money, the $1,200, $1,600, whatever they want to do, they throw this money around like a shit. That money's coming out of thin air. It's not being based upon anything. So they can tell you, I'm going to give you $1,200. And what that does is we borrow it, and that goes against the national debt. Trillions and trillions. And it gets, you can go to the national debt clock, and you can just see it's rolling. It just keeps rolling, the interest. And we're indebted to these people. The only president in our lifetime and in my lifetime that actually had the debt under control was Bill Clinton. He took the debt and made it nothing. We had no debt. We had no national debt because he had a lot behind it. We had the dot-coms and everything else. So computers were just starting up. We'll save that for another time. But that's the problem with the Rothschild family. They control this shit and keep you in debt.
Okay, 2 things. One, Josh has the name of the president of Syria at the time.
Okay.
It's General Hafez al-Assad.
Okay, so it's Assad. So where was Gaddafi? I'm getting out of home. I'm really fucking exhausted.
Gaddafi, I feel like was like
Wasn't he more recent or something?
Yeah,
that was in the Iraq
Go to the
war.
Google
That was in the
machine.
Iraq war.
Well, and getting back to the point I was saying before, the family has said that they will destroy these countries. These 3 countries: Cuba, the Islamic Republic, and North Korea, because they're denying them their banking system. They're the
Libya.
Libya.
We fucked up. Sorry, audience.
So basically, they're saying to these 3 countries, saying, fine, you don't want to give us your banking system, then we're going to make everyone fucking hate you. Now, granted, the shit that North Korea does, we know the shit that North Korea does. But like I said,
what they let us know.
So apparently there's also said to be, because of their wealth, they're said to hold meetings every year. These, the Rothschild family and other major families, they're said to hold meetings and said to plan about wars and create other major worldly issues.
Are you getting to the Bilderberg group?
Ooh.
Is that where you're going with that?
Yes.
Build-A-Bear?
Not Build-A-Bear.
Just real quick, I looked it up because you guys are killing me with the name Gaddafi. Muammar Mohammed Abu Manar al-Gaddafi was
MQ for sure.
known as Colonel Gaddafi, was a Libyan revolutionary politician and political theorist.
I got a question though, Richard. Before you go, John, I got a question.
He was in the Libyan army from 1961 to 2011.
Okay, so he ran that country.
Fucking Christ.
He could do whatever he wanted in that country. Why did he make himself a colonel? You think maybe he'd want to make himself a fucking king, or maybe like a general?
He wanted to keep himself humble. Come on, man.
Okay.
All right,
That's
so
a question I ponder when the lights go out.
It's just, come on, man. You got to keep yourself.
and also
humble.
to your point before about the Napoleon thing, they're said to have major impacted on all major wars since the Napoleon War. Now the second, obviously, issue is the New World Order and how the Rothschilds affected. Now, number one, we have to sit there and ask the question: is the New World Order real?
Well, it's shadowy, I can tell you that much. And you're not going to find you're not going to go, well, this guy's got a jacket that says I'm Joe and I'm from the New World Order. It doesn't work that way. Okay, and it goes back to
Same
the
thing
build.
with war too. War is now fought in shadows. Like you're not really seeing like aggressive.
Oh, Black Ops, yeah.
Aggressive like territorial war like how we used to do it. It's
Yeah,
more
it's not
of
the
a-
line wars anymore, bro.
Yeah,
it's not the British and the Americans. just sitting there like,
It's more of
"Fire!"
an economic information type of war.
Even
now
though, don't
that
you
we're going
miss
through
those type of
nowadays.
wars, though?
No.
Why not? It's
I wouldn't
simple.
want to be drafted. First
I'm
of
not
all,
talking about drafting. I'm talking about the line wars, where they just line up and go, okay, fire. No?
No, not really.
nope.
I thought they were pretty cool.
You Caucasian motherfucker.
What does that have to do with anything?
The audacity of your caucasity, sir.
No, okay, so like I said, New World Order, Bilderberg Group, are these things...
Bilderberg?
No, Bilderberg.
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 Yes, not Build-A-Bear.
Named after the Bilderberg Hotel in Brussels.
Are these things real, and if you believe in them?
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hello, nerds. Come listen to the History Nerds United podcast, and let's make history fun again. We interview today's best authors, whether they are established Pulitzer Prize winners or someone debuting their first book. Let us show you that history is not a boring class you took in high school, but a place where the best stories come from. And we don't just cover history, we also love to chat about true crime, biographies, memoirs, and so much more. So head on over to History Nerds United and let us introduce you to your new favorite book and learn the story behind the story.
History Nerds United.
I gotta say, to a degree, I kind of do. There's gotta. I'm on that fence where there's gotta be some truth to so-called fables, conspiracy theories, myths, whatever you want. There's got to be some type of truth to it, because even in nowadays, currently from, I don't know, God knows when up till now, you've got games literally pointing that type of stuff out, but not directly. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll say, I think I might have had a conversation with you years ago, Joe, where people say like the Illuminati, right. But in like video games, they allude to it in different ways. Like there was 12, it was from like Metal Gear Solid, I think it was. And that was the conversation we had one summer. I remember, in the game, they called it, from Metal Gear Solid, it was like Lale Lule Lo. Okay. Was one of the names, but in actuality, they were referencing the Illuminati. There was like 12 figures in the shadows. No one knows who they are, their births, their deaths. No one knows who they were. They were controlling war, money, everything that you can imagine. And it's like, if even to this day, movies, video games, anything you can create can kind of base stories off of that.
And everything.
If you sit there and think about it, Assassin's Creed is the same type of shit.
Yeah, even something like that. Assassin's Creed, they have a hidden
talk
brotherhood.
About masonry and everything like that.
They have a hidden assassin brotherhood that's fighting the Templars and stuff like that. The
Bilderberg Group can be proven. I'll tell you why. Back in 1950, I believe it was, they had the very first one. And what that was heads of state, heads of all countries had met at the Bilderberg, and they called it the Bilderberg Conference. That goes on every year, and it's held in extreme secrecy. I mean, you can't even, they'll close down a whole hotel, and they won't even tell you where it's going to be. But people find out because people are onto this stuff now. They know that every year the Bilderberg Conference is going to be somewhere. So that can be proven. And most recently when Obama was running, he was, him and Hillary were running in the primaries against each other. And all of a sudden, the two of them just disappeared. Nobody knew where they were. Well, they were at the Bilderberg Conference because they knew this Bilderberg Conference is, we send people there. Every country sends people there.
Allegedly send people there.
Well, you can prove who's actually been there. And what it does is they discuss in secrecy what they want to, how they want to move the world forward, what they want to do. They pick presidents. They pick the way that the world's going on. Okay. Now, basically, when we send somebody over there, that's in violation of our own Logan law. The Logan Act says you can't go out there, basically, and act as a head of state, to represent your country when you have nothing to do with the country. That would be like Donald Trump going to Russia now and doing a deal. You're not the president anymore. You can't do that. So there's the Bilderberg Group is a group, and it changes every year. People obviously they get older and they change, but it's there, it's real, it's tangible, you can touch it. The Illuminati, that is real to a point because that was actually started, and we'll get to that, whatever. But
now it's being run by Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Okay, and they're allegedly involved in the Illuminati at some point. I don't know how. Allegedly. Okay, now getting back to the New World Order. The New World Order is a name that's given to the. People like to say, well, it's a New World Order. Well, and then you say, well, what is the New World Order? Where is it? Show me a guy that's in the New World Order. And they say, well, I don't know.
Well,
the New World Order would be what the Bilderberg want to do. And what they want to do, they want to create a New World Order. And the New World Order basically just wants to make one world government out of everything.
Yeah, so it's a side note. We're not talking about the wrestling group either.
Right. We just don't, we have.
Not Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, or the other one. No.
You can. It'll explain itself very simply. The Bilderberg Group sets the course for the world to create this New World Order. And it's not a group. It's not a company. They don't have offices on Madison Avenue. It's their agenda, what it is. That's what the New World Order really is. So, I mean, you guys can look that up or whatever. And all the research I've done over the last 30 years points in that direction. The Bilderberg Group is they're doing everything they can to pull the strings of the world to make it what they want. They control stock prices. They control oil prices. They control everything.
Here's the question, though. Do you believe the Rothschild family is one of the heads of that?
Heads? No. I believe that they're involved because somebody needs financing. They don't want to be a head of anything. They want to make money. It's bottom line money. They don't care who's running like Mayer said. I don't care who's running your country. Show me who's running your money, and I'll show you the real leader of that country. That's what he said. You can look that up. Because he knows that without money, I'm the president. Yeah, well, you know what? Fuck you. You can't do anything if you have no money. They need money. And they don't care. Like I said, they'll finance a war. They'll finance, this country against that country. And that's where they come in. They don't give a shit about who's running the government. They'll have influence about, well, maybe we should get this guy in because he can help us out, because they'll make more money. And it all comes down to money. Money. That's basically it. So
money is the root of all evil.
Money's the root of everything, Joe. If you don't have money, you got shit. You know. Just look around you, motherfucker. We're all broke, and nobody's. It is what it is.
So it's tough to sit there and because it seems like too big. It seems too big to sit there and believe like people coming together directing the world in one government, though.
But think about it. If you were that wealthy and you had that much time on your hand, you would get bored, bro. You'd get very bored. And then you would probably share your crazy-ass ideas with your other rich-ass friends and just decide, you know what? This is a fucking good idea. Let's plot over and take over the world. That's exactly how it goes down, Joe. That's exactly how it goes down. But again, people will never be able to get along. So all these people that try to control all this shit, at the end of the day, like, it's all gonna be for nothing. At one given point, like, no matter how much control you try to put over something, it's gonna be like a pot and just boil over. I believe so.
Well, like I said,
life will find a way.
And that's not Jurassic Park here. But it's for the common folk, it's hard to sit there and think with all the other problems you have in just everyday life. To sit there and think, well, I have this superpower that is going to sit there and try to take over the world and direct me into how they want and take my money and take my rights and shit like that. And to sit there and be like, well, what do I do about it? Their question is, well, it's too far out of my reach. What can the little man do about it?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they're counting on. That's what they want you to believe. And again, it comes down to there's a little known tactic that they have. It's called problem, reaction, solution. What that means is they need an agenda. Say they want to take this cell phone and they want to sell, or they want you to buy this cell phone or whatever. They need something done. They create a problem. Okay. The public reacts. You got to help us. You got to save us. You got to do this. They come in and say, well, I can do this for you and I can help you. And they look like they're the saviors. But what they're only doing is they're suggesting what they wanted done in the first place. And I'll give you an example of that. In 1940, whatever, when World War II was happening, if the United States, if the president of the United States at the time, Roosevelt, decided that, the war's going on, I got to go after Germany, we got to stop them. If he would have brought our troops into Germany, this country would have flipped. They would have had a stroke. How you send our boys to death that they're fighting over there? It's their problem. Why are we involved? But he needed to get over there. So what happened? Japan attacked us. While the Japanese envoy was in the White House visiting that day when they attacked Pearl Harbor. Okay. And, well, we're attacked now. We have to get into the Pacific part of this war. So now we're in this war. We are in World War II. We're going to fight on many fronts. We needed to get in. Problem was created. He declared war. Problem, reaction. The solution was getting in the war. And the solution is what they wanted from the first place.
And then we came in and beat the shit out of everyone.
Beat the shit out of okay.
America.
Even though the Germans had much
I'm
superior
not even going to get into that the part of Japan because that's we
were getting our ass kicked doing that island hopping shit, bro.
All I'm saying is
we were definitely getting our ass kicked.
We decided to go after Germany and we whooped ass.
So did the Russians. The Russians were doing very good.
Yeah. All right, just because you have a Russian hat on today.
Hey man, it's cold out there. And it's very snowy.
Well,
anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, but the point is, though, is you have to sit there and you have to wonder why. Why? What's the point? What is the point of wanting, like, why do you want so much power? And you have to sit there and ask, who wants all this power? If it's not the Rothschilds that want this power, who is it then? Who is the leader of the New World Order? Who is in the New World Order?
It's obviously the lizard people that feed on children on Epstein's island.
Ban him. Ban him now.
Okay, so you're bringing in 3 different subjects here that have nothing to do with it.
But it's all connected. We're all here.
Epstein, different episode. Lizard people, different episode. We're talking about we're talking subject A, with the Rothschilds and the New World Order.
But you were asking who wants all that power, and I'm just saying.
So the lizard people,
yes,
on Epstein's island.
Yes, they're being financed by the Rothschilds.
Okay.
Lizards like shiny things. I like silver.
You can see his face right now.
You're scaring Joe.
So the Rothschilds,
wacky.
So the Rothschilds are basically, in your opinion, Dad, are just financiers.
That's all they are. And they're going to keep the right people in the right spots in the world to influence those people to make sure that the Rothschild people continue to make money.
I feel like they organized every single marriage, and they're still organizing every single marriage that goes on between them.
Oh, like first and second cousins, stuff like that?
It's possible.
Maybe.
I mean, that's what they said. Like the mayor, first of all, any father that names their kid after themselves has an issue.
I'm a junior.
And that's coming from Joseph III.
What I'm saying,
ladies and gentlemen, if you can see the looks going on in this booth right now.
What I'm saying is, okay, one kid is fine. He named 5 different kids.
That's the way they did it back then.
After himself.
That's the way they did it.
But to turn around and say
he wanted to keep his legacy alive. Why do you think he had all them children?
That's fine. You could keep your legacy alive. I get that. But to say I'm not giving it to any women, and if you want to keep this, you have to fuck your cousin. The fuck? You know what that is? That's keeping your blood pure. It's fucked up, though.
In their perspective, because we're finance gods and we know what we're doing.
Well, because he didn't want to give his money to somebody. There's only 3 people in their entire family tree.
I mean, another thing
that have married outside of their family.
I mean, I know another thing that goes into that was they also kept all that like secretive so that they wouldn't have to like share how much money they really have. They can really control like
exactly
how Joe said, they can control how much information they want to release. Like, oh no, yeah, we have $3 billion worth of gold when it can in reality be like $16 billion worth of gold and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know, but it's just fucking weird. Like, and to also, here's another question: do you believe?
Hold on, before you get into that, I found something just weird because I'm scanning through all this stuff.
All right, go on.
Okay, so there's 2 things I'm going to point out really, really fast. From some of the things I'm reading, like you said, Joe, the last name, the family name means Red Shield. I got that.
Which, side note, is actually pretty dope. Red Shield is a pretty dope last name.
Yes, it is. It was derived from that because of the house in the ghetto in which his ancestors had once lived. And apparently he was intended for the rabbinite, which, if I looked up correctly, that's actually something that's Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because the Rothschilds are Hebrew or Jewish.
See, I didn't know that because it doesn't really say anything about that. But it says that's what he was intended for. But unfortunately, he only studied briefly because his parents died early, which forced him into an apprenticeship in a banking house.
And from that information that they give out, I think the guy that took him under the banking apprenticeship, he was banking with like the Prince of Turkey or something like that. He was banking with some sort of prince.
I have see something here. It says soon after becoming court factor to William IX, Landgrave of Hesse-Kassel, the pattern that his family was to follow was successful, so they've been doing it that way since. It kind of doesn't. But to do business with reigning houses by the preference and to the father as many sons as possible, who would take care of the family's many business affairs, which is the first thing I read, and I didn't realize that part of this was Jewish. But then I read something.
And then it's a little ironic how they're part of like a lot of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories too.
Yeah, and that's something. If you follow that train of thought, it's really weird because the frequent marriages between Rothschild's cousins and other marriages were generally the same, but with very rare exceptions, it was with Jews, in spite of the number of descendants and the complexity of their family tree. Most of them were basically out of Vienna and Paris during the Nazi period.
Dude, this is a family that not even Dr. Drew would sit there and take on.
Does that bring up the question that there's like, did Hitler attack the Jewish people because he knew that they were that wealthy?
Well, I mean, if you go historically, that was because of
I know that he had a lot of hate for them too.
The reason is because of how Germany at the time was going through a depression in the early 30s, just like America was. And
after the First World War, right?
Yeah, like leading up to the Second World War.
Okay.
So it was the early 30s and late 20s, the German, and basically Hitler was rising to power through then because he saw that people like the Rothschilds and all these other Jewish families had a lot of money, and he just blamed Germany's depression on them. He was like, they're the reason why our country is in the toilet. And a lot of people just sat there and like, yeah, he's right. And that's how you got the Nazi Party. But obviously true.
So then another thing, does the whole Rothschild conspiracy fuel the whole QAnon thing that's also going on too?
That might be on that might be on a fringe type of deal. I don't think they're directly involved in something like that because that's a really small fraction. But what is going on is you're having, a lot of people want to blame. I can't think of the guy's name right now. The one billionaire, George Soros. They want to blame him for funding. He did fund Black Lives Matter. We know that because the leader of Black Lives Matter lived in his house. That's a fact. That's proven. Rented a house from George Soros. He spends billions of dollars, but in the long term, he's a smaller version of what goes on with the Rothschild. They spend their money and they control the people who are controlling the country. He could care less about it. They could care less about rioting in the streets because it's not going to forward their agenda. They're not going to gain anything by that. However, George Soros, he's got an agenda of his own. He's trying to get the liberals out there and eliminate the Republican Party and eliminate everything else.
Well, if you think about it, it tends to go with the Rothschilds. It tends to go in their pocket too, because with as many banks as the Rothschilds own, right, and how many banks that completely are completely owned by the Rothschilds, you're looking at people who riot, and they're like, well, I don't care if they riot because people are going to need loans to fix their businesses. The cities are going to need loans to fix their streets and stuff like that. And who do they go to? They go to these banks who are owned by the Rothschilds, and then the Rothschilds make more money.
Problem, reaction, solution.
Exactly. So it's not more of...
It's the oldest game in the book, folks.
Yeah, it's not more of sitting here like, oh, we want power. They obviously just want money, and they want...
A lot of it.
The power part that they want to continue holding on to is the fact that they want to make sure that these leaders keep the laws in place to let them keep their money.
Yeah, exactly.
In other words, if they decide, if they just said, you know what, I don't care. You know what, we're just going to make money,
so that's
and
why
we don't
censorship
care.
Is becoming a thing too.
Right. They don't want to care. If they don't care who's running the show, well, this guy like Trump pissed off a lot of people because he didn't stick to the script. He didn't stick to what he was being told to do. He's like, no, this is not the way it's going to happen. We're going to do it my way, good or bad, whatever you want to believe. Okay, that's why you see where we're at now. And I know I'm going to throw this out there. I know people are going, well, you can't say that. I'm not going to say that this virus shit isn't real, but the virus was used to complete an agenda. Okay?
By these higher people.
This president was turning heads. People were making money. People were living better. And the reason I say this, not this Christmas, last Christmas, I remember sitting upstairs, and Mary and I were sitting by the Christmas tree, and you couldn't see the Christmas tree. The gifts were loaded. Everybody had money. I was making money. The kids were making money. Everybody, there was 10 gifts apiece. The economy was going good. Okay.
I remember that.
That scared the shit out of a lot of people because one man was able to get inside people's heads and change the norm, change how people thought. And if you get one guy that can do that, who knows what else he can do? He's got to go.
Well,
we have to get rid of him.
Also, think about it too.
So does that maybe that little conspiracy, does that maybe explain why people like now did the whole GameStop stock thing too?
I mean, it's
more power to the people. They're realizing a lot of that shit too.
You know what the fucked up part about it is, though?
That whole thought going off of Joe or Dad that like it was that changing heads thing because it's just like a lot of people really like,
and that's why people get pissed off.
They're scrambling now with that whole situation because they know what those guys did was legal. It was legal. But what Robinhood and all the other companies did was illegal. When they stopped the trading and said you can't trade anymore, that's illegal. You can't do that. But because Congress had to have this stopped, they didn't say a word about it. You didn't see a lawyer. You didn't see a cop. You didn't see a mayor, a governor. Nobody said, no, wait a minute, Robinhood, you can't do that. It's illegal.
Well,
okay.
I mean, also getting back to the point with Trump, though, is another reason why I think that he needed.
It all ties into the Rothschilds.
Yeah, it literally does. Because what was one of the major stories of the Trump presidency about his relation with North Korea, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who's one of the lists on North Korea? I mean, the Rothschilds list that they can't get their money in, their banks into North Korea.
Yep.
So we make a giant problem about him being friendly with North Korea, and the U.S. is one of the major. Besides Britain, one of the major places that the Rothschilds have their control over the banks.
Mm-hmm.
And when the president of the U.S. starts to be friendly with someone who they can't get into the country, that starts making the Rothschilds think, well, hold on. If this leader can turn around and make a change with this other leader that we have control over, the U.S. is a major factor. And if the Rothschilds lose a major factor, then dominoes start to fall. So it was a major issue that Trump was a big friendly with North Korea and Kim Jong-un, I think it is.
Kim Jong-un.
Because Un and the rest of the Un family, again, I don't know their family name.
Kim family.
It's the Kim family?
Yeah.
Okay, so
they say their last name first for whatever reason.
Okay, fine. The Kim family, it was because they didn't have control over their banks in North Korea. So the news media, who's controlled by these people also, that also ties into it, makes
Allegedly.
a big fuss. And they're like, well, Trump is this, Trump is that, what Trump is doing this with North Korea, and boom. Now you have people against.
I know this is going off into a different, but it's all actually ties into it.
It literally all ties in. It's literally one of the biggest fucking subjects.
It is because
it's hard to sit there and just be like 1 episode, 2 episodes, because you're going to be sitting here for days connecting pieces.
While we're on the Trump thing, they literally started demonizing Donald Trump the day he came down the escalator in Trump Tower and announced that he was running, because they knew that they needed to get him out of there. There was no way they're going to let this guy survive. And they're not going to kill him because there's too much light on him. Okay, so what do? We demonize him for 4 years. We did. He's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. Never proven. All allegations for 4 years. Nothing was proven. In fact, it was proven the other way, that it was a setup. The Russian collusion hoax thing was a lie, and it was proved to be a lie. It was illegal what happened, but what happened? Justice Department don't do anything about it.
Because it's all connected.
It's all connected. Everything is connected. And he was the pin that was going against the bubble. He was the one that was going to say, enough is enough. Fuck the FCC. This is America, Jack. I'm going to say
the FCC won't let us be.
Obviously not if you're freaking stealing whose lyrics.
I ain't saying shit.
motherfucker.
I said we. I changed it up.
You're right.
Anyway,
right. My bad.
That's where
But
the
yeah,
Trump
it's really like I say, it's
scary.
And it's fucked up to think because
and it goes so back, and it goes so far back.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
That's like what 19th, 18th century where it all started.
Yeah, Mayer was born in 1740 something. Yeah. So you're talking about someone who 3 centuries ago was born, almost 3 centuries ago,
and they've been running secret wars
for the last 2 centuries.
That's and.
When you talk about Napoleon,
because
the
so much
little fucking midget on the horse that we talk about, like you sit there and go, "Oh, they've been running shit since," and they're not the only family though.
Oh no,
there's 5 families that apparently run this world.
Well, they run everything you see, they adhere, everything. Disney, okay, DuPont, okay, Rothschild, Rockefeller, and I can't think of the last one.
Chinese?
I don't know. I know there's 5 families.
Chinese in general.
No, I don't know.
Are the biggest people
because they're
none of them are.
They have old. They're also a very old.
Who's the 5th family? Look that up.
So who knows?
5 families that run the world,
and they run when you have companies that basically run our media. Okay, where do you go to get your news?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, that's an interesting topic, because you sit there and say, you look at the trickle-down effect of ABC, who's owned by Disney.
Right.
ESPN, owned by Disney.
Right.
All these little things. Well, it's ESPN who's owned by ABC, who's owned by Disney.
Right.
And then there's little things you see it like Discovery.
But who's the corporate master?
Yeah, well,
Disney.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wait,
Discovery.
did I just read that right?
Owned by Disney. What?
Okay, so I looked it up real fast, and I'm just clicking on one, and the first one they say is Rothschild. Obviously, you guys just said that. Rockefeller, it's big ass. Morgan,
J.P. Morgan.
J.P. Morgan, yeah.
DuPont.
Yep.
But then number 1 is Bush.
Well, I don't know why they would put the Bush family there.
Yeah, I don't get that either. That's
the
what
Bush
I'm
family basically. Well, I'll tell you what. The Bush family. Okay,
they own oil in Texas.
The Bush family started with the Prescott Bush was actually prosecuted in 1940 something under the Trading with the Enemies Act. And what happened was he owned the bank, I believe it was the Union Pacific Bank. Okay, he had money tied up in it, and he was funding. Here we go. Wait for it. The Nazi Party. He was funding.
Gasp.
He was.
Yo.
Sorry, I didn't expect the video.
He was funding Goodyear. Goodyear was making tires for the tanks and for all the vehicles of the Nazi Party. Okay,
so we have to shoot down that blimp. Then.
And he was giving money. He was lending money to them.
Goddamn Nazi blimp.
Okay, and he was trading with the enemy. He couldn't do that. You're an American. You couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Here's a guy now. Fast forward. Out of that company, now they're involved in something we haven't even touched. He was a skull and bonesman. That's not a theory. That's nothing. That's real. Yale University, the tomb. It's real. Okay.
Wait, isn't that like a
this is why we need to do another 2 parts of this, because you still haven't touched on Adam Weishaupt and the Illuminati, which is a real organization.
That's the 17th.
1770 something, okay?
Yeah.
These are all parts of this that are so intertwined. And now through the skull and bones, we now have had 2 presidents come out of the Bush family.
George W. and George H.
I was going to say, I've clicked on a couple different links, and everyone just seems to keep mentioning Bush as well. This other website,
to be honest, if you think about it,
Rockefeller, Morgan's, DuPont, and then Bush is the other.
Well, then they're giving if they're going to give the Bush this much credit, why are we not giving the Kennedys this much credit?
The Kennedys, holy shit.
Kennedys. You had a president, a senator, okay, another senator. Their children were senators. Okay, and you also had and Bobby was also the
Secretary of State, wasn't he?
Secretary of
not state.
Attorney General. So again, but he wasn't. Kennedy wasn't in a situation where he was involved in the Illuminati. He was a bootlegger. The father was a bootlegger. He ran liquor,
illegal alcohol.
right? During the depression and during the whatever the hell
prohibition era.
Okay, and you know, these are maybe that's why they're not involved, because the Bush goes back so far now that they were actually involved in banking, Rothschild. If you notice now, all of these companies, J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, DuPont, Rothschild, Disney has their own bank.
I mean, Disney's
and you know
not
who's
on the
creeping
list,
up
but-
on this list? Who's creeping up on this list? Amazon to a
Bezos?
point. They don't have their own bank.
Facebook?
Walmart has their own bank.
Oh shit!
Wait, what?
Walmart has their own bank, but they only handle Walmart transactions. At the end of the day, when they tally up all the money they made, say to the Riverdale store, that money is deposited via wire transfer into the Walmart bank, and any cash that's on hand gets picked up by a Brinks truck, say whatever, I don't know what company takes it, and it gets put into
Armado,
deposit
Gardo.
into the Walmart.
We have
bank.
an Dad worked for Walmart. so
Walmart
he knows.
controls everything with Walmart. They control each store. Cannot control their own temperature. It's all controlled out of Arkansas, out of the main thing. If they want to raise the heat, they have to call. You know, the main. Well, look, it's a little chilly. Can you put it up? Because they want total control over their assets.
Walmart is a whole different subject too.
And who's Walmart involved in? U.S. government. Who's U.S. government involved in? It's a fucking triangle, folks. It goes on and on. It's an organ grinder. I mean, we really are going to dig to the bottom of this rabbit hole because
because Walmart is a whole subject you can get in to talk about the Walmarts with the military base and stuff like that.
It's sad.
Disney is a whole different subject. You know, obviously his affiliation with the Nazi Party.
Right. Well, he's an anti-Semite.
Oh yeah. Just
He
that
hated
you know,
Jewish people.
just that one joke on Family Guy alone. No, Mr. Disney, welcome to 2021. Are the Jews dead yet? No, Mr. Disney, put me back. That's horrible. It's true because that's how he was. But it, you know.
What's funny is I can't find that anywhere with Disney. Like
Exactly.
I
Like
jumped on.
Exactly.
I know I jumped on another website and apparently they have a list of like 13 families that are allegedly controlling the world. Rothschild. I don't know what this one is. Bruce Cavendish or Kennedy. They have it in parentheses.
Cavendish was basically a financier, but he took a lot of. I don't know much about him, but I do know that he took a lot of money from a lot of people, and he made a lot of money
for those people.
Yeah. Okay, so then it's so Bruce Cavendish, Medici, Medi or Medici,
I'm
yeah,
not familiar with
that's
that.
one. Hanover, Habsburg, Krupp. I'm not sure what I'm saying. Is Plantagenet. Yeah, Rockefeller. Then they say Romanov, and then Sinclair or St. Clair. They have it in parentheses. I don't know why. Warburg, the bank, and then Windsor, Saxe-Coburg, Gulf.
Okay, now I'm glad you brought that up. Windsor is who? Anybody here know?
Windsor.
Is the last name of who? The royal family.
Yes.
They named it after that because their real last name, they're a German family. They're not English. Okay. The royal family, Prince Charles, the Queen, all the other shit goes back to Prince Charles, all the kings and stuff from years and years. The real name is Saxe-Berth Gotha or whatever the hell that was.
Saxe-Coburg
Gotha. That's their real German name. Okay.
Shit.
They migrated during, I think it was one of the First World War, to England. Okay. And they got involved with the kings that were there previous. They settled into the House of Windsor, changed their name to Windsor because they didn't want anybody to know that they were German. That's a fact. So, and it might not exactly be what I just said. I know they're German, and I know they came over into England and became the royal family, and they named themselves out of the House of Windsor because that's where they were living.
That's fucked up to begin with because they have no control over anything. They sit there and they may have control over some things.
Influence right now.
They have influence, but they literally, that's why they have a prime minister because he's the one that makes all decisions.
But he also has to run some of that stuff by the Queen or whoever's right. The Queen is still the Queen over there. I mean, she's like 160 fucking years old. Okay,
I guess
she's
You know what
sipping
the
on the
funny part?
adrenochrome.
I not to bring in another podcast subject, but she wasn't on our Deadpool.
Oh, jeez. All right, moving on.
Just saying. But yeah, it's when you talk about families that really should be the subject of the episode, is families that run the fucking world, headed by the Rothschilds.
Let's do this. Here's what we can do. We can do this.
Are we going to dissect each family now?
No. Well, yes, but let's take all the tentacles. This is like a preview show of what's going on. Let's take all the tentacles and have one show and make it a series. You don't have to do it in order. I say you do this one, and next month we do another part of it or whatever. Because there's a lot of subjects out there. I want to get to the Cecil Hotel and all the other shit. But this is what controls us, folks. This is the thing that controls our world. This is why, your bills are high. This is why, they tell you what to say. So I think,
this is why they can print money out the wazoo.
Right. We need to get together and figure this out. But it
like
goes
that?
and goes and goes, and it's all.
You
it's
let your Caucasian show.
It's a spider web that just keeps going and going and going, and a rabbit hole because it's so fucking deep. It's scary.
The funny part is that I think the modern days people, like obviously those families have been running things for a while. If you look at the Rothschilds, what were the other ones? The Rothschilds,
the Morgans,
the Rockefellers. They've been here for a while. They've been like Rockefeller, and we know his ties to New York and the train system, stuff like that, railroads. But like, I think the modern day version of those is the Bezos, the Waltons, the Zuckerbergs. Those are the modern day, powerhouse families, or family names, if you want to.
That's because they've supplied something.
I feel like it's because they've been allowed to.
Right. They've supplied something to distract you. Okay. They've supplied something to destroy your economy. Now, when I say destroy your economy, what I mean by that is they literally have taken the little mom and pop stores in the corner that are out of business because the Bezos needed. You can go to Amazon.
He's actually
Walmart.
he's stepped down from being the head of Amazon.
Yeah, well, he can only get so big. He's got a little life left. I guess he wants to go on to he wants to take his abomination somewhere else. Okay, that Amazon is great. I do it too. If I need something, I go to Amazon right away. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was like that with Walmart before. I go to Walmart. Walmart's got it, and it's cheap. But what we didn't realize at the time, and maybe we did and just didn't give a shit, what you're buying from Walmart, the mom and pop stores are now out of business because they no longer can compete. Walmart can buy 1 billion pieces of something and get it for a penny, where a mom and pop shop gets the same product and has to pay $3.
History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, because I say that because it's 100 years later, where in the 2020s, pretty much same boat as to like what was going on back in those days.
Everything except for alcohol being
except for
illegal.
the alcohol thing,
and we're not getting off of a world war,
and pretty much just the whole monopolies taking over things again, and pretty much like in a way, I guess people fighting back and just trying not to allow that to happen.
Well, that's one thing I was just about to say with the whole monopolies is that obviously Disney is the head of the people being monopolized, because Disney has their hands in everything.
Yeah, that one would be a really tough one to like really like. Even if legally they already know the loopholes around this, so they already they're legally not a monopoly, but we all know that's a fucking lie.
But my whole question is, would you put Apple and whoever owns Apple? I don't know who, since the person in the black, Steve Jobs died.
Tim Cook is like the guy that like speaks.
Yeah, I think he took over for him.
Would you put Apple up there?
No. Apple's a company. You have a CEO for that company. It's not a family that owns it. Mm-hmm. The Walmart family owns Walmart. They own all the stock. So they own it. Okay. DuPont owns the chemical company that's been polluting our rivers and streams for years. But we're somehow worried about, we're gonna change the atmosphere if somebody has a can of hairspray.
Doesn't matter. The Earth's gonna freaking heat up naturally, and it's going to cool down naturally on its own.
Exactly. They make you think that, well, I got a can of hairspray and I'm fucking up the environment. You're not. If the world decided tomorrow that they don't want people on it anymore, guess what? It's going to get a super virus, or it's going to blow up, or it's going to do whatever. It's going to shake us off like a bad case of fleas.
It's a very interesting topic that we can get into.
We really don't have a fucking control over it, other than you don't want to pollute. Warming. You want to keep your environment clean. I get it. But let's cut the bullshit, folks. It's a way to control people. It's a way to control taxes. It's a way to control. It's all it is. Okay? And if you look and see what was going on, if you follow the money trail, what it is the United States government decided that we're going to tax you. You can still pollute, but you got to pay to pollute in units. And they're going to measure what you're going to do. So you can pollute, but as long as you're paying the powers that be.
And who are the powers that be?
So I can give you billions of dollars and I can still pollute, but you're going to get your hands greased. So how is that saving the environment? But they peddle this shit and they package it on CNN and all the other stations. And the dumbass people out there go, oh, we're going to pollute. We can't pollute. It's going to be bad. Oh, it's bad. CNN told me so.
I stick my thumb in my ass.
Chris Cuomo said so. But Chris Cuomo is being paid by the fucking assholes that run that company. Okay? The Time Warner. Okay? That are in bed with all these other fucking companies.
Comcast.
They all shit in the same pot.
Verizon.
And it's stupid fucking people allowed this shit to happen. And I said this over and over again, and it goes back to the Trump. Trump was making a difference. If one person in this country...
We can't honestly just call it stupid people, too. We can honestly just call it lack of ignorance. Or just ignorant, because, the information's not out. The information's out there, but it's not, being publicly, displayed
like I said before,
a Ben & Jerry's commercial.
It goes back to what I was saying before. Something that's too
Ben
big.
& Jerry's commercial. Did you also know that the Illuminati is controlling your entire world? Look at this.
We have 31 new flavors. But it goes back to what I said before. The little people sit there and go, that's too big of a subject for me to handle.
Yeah.
And
You're
they're
not sponsored by Ben & Jerry's, by the way.
No, we're not.
The bigger the lie, the people will believe it.
The more people will believe. Yeah.
Because that's why just as a side thing, it's funny that you said, would you consider Apple to be a controlling family? It's probably not. I probably mostly agree with you, Joe, but I do feel like they're an evil company.
Oh, I do.
And everyone doesn't want to see it, but I explain it in very simple terms, and I don't think anyone really gets it. I had a friend in
talk. They're listening.
Okay, and anyway, I had a friend in
college. 3 out of the 4 people in here have an iPhone.
That's because I know better. Anyway, I had a friend in college. I had a friend in college, and it blew my mind. He had, at the time, I think it was the iPhone 6 or whatever it was. It was one of the early ones, because talking back, what was that, 2008, right? So he had one. He talked about it. It was perfectly fine. I'm like, all right, Apple. I had regular Android at the time, whatever it was. And during the course of the year, he was talking about the new phone that came out. So he finally went to go get it. And then he said he paid $600 or whatever it was. And he came back and he was bragging about it. And I looked at him. I'm like, seriously, what's the difference? All they did was put an S on it. Is there anything new about it? He sat there. He actually thought for 5 minutes. You can send picture messages now. That was his response to my question. And I said, you mean to tell me you just dished out an extra $600 for the same phone with one added feature and a letter attached to the name? Yep. That's what you just did right now. And he was like, yeah. I'm like, you're an idiot. What's the point? I have an Android phone that's probably 2 years old at this point, and I've been sending picture messages since I got it.
Right. We don't even know how many dick pics you send.
People don't do the research.
I feel like people just sit there and just blindly go after whatever it is.
And
what about the last iPhone craze? Wasn't there one that were everyone was outside for a day because they wanted it or whatever?
iPhone 11.
If you were into creating lines, all you got to do is say, tomorrow the iPhone 45 is coming out. You'd have them lined up around Manhattan. because everybody's gonna have the new one, and it's gonna cost you $6,000.
And they're gonna be like, the iPhone 45. What the fuck happened to 13 to 44?
Right. You would have people, fucking stupid people, lined up, and
it's a projector.
To your point, he's like, well, what does it do? I don't know. But it's new, and I gotta have it. They don't care.
Well, I remember the flip out when people before the 11, they were
It's
flipping.
so thin. It's in my hand. Look at it. Do you see it?
They were flipping out because they made the iPhone X, which is really just the iPhone 10, X in Roman numeral, 10 in Roman numerals. And people are like, yo, that's a dope ass name. I'm like, you're really gonna flip out because they put a Roman numeral on it?
Marketing, folks, it's all about appealing to the people. And like I say, like eBay, perfect example. You can sell a used bag of shit
eBay anymore?
on eBay.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
as long as you market it properly and make it seem like it's the greatest thing, and you gotta have it. You'll get some weak-minded motherfuckers start bidding on this shit. I gotta have that bag of shit because if I don't have it, somebody else will buy it, and then they can put it on their mantle, and I'll be without it, and I need to have that bag of shit. It's only one limited number. It's gonna be we're gonna put the number on it. I'll autograph it for you. Get the fuck away from me. And then people look. Here's another thing I can't stand when these dumbass authors go out there and go, come into the bookstore and book show, and I'll sign it for you. I'll autograph it. Hey, asshole, you just wrote a fucking book. That's all the autographing I need. I don't need the fact that you touched it. I don't give a fuck. I am not gonna jerk off because you fucking touched that book.
Okay.
See, it's all about dumb fuckers that are in this country,
control,
and these people
folks.
run to the bank every
It's
year.
all
They just
control,
keep,
folks.
it's an organ grinder again. Money makers. We are fed by stupid fucking desires and
It's
bullshit.
funny though because when you think about it, to get back to and how it relates to our original point.
Yeah, we really got.
No, it's not even
Kinda
that.
veered off.
It doesn't veer
It all
off.
connects, folks. Remember,
all
it's
connects
all
as
feeding into control and the
who
New
gives
World
you-
Order and a higher family.
Who do you?
I don't know what the fuck they're talking about now. Now we're on iPhones.
But it does because who do you think gives them the loans?
Banks.
The banks, and the banks are owned by the Rothschilds. The banks are owned by
It comes down. I got a question for you. And now we'll go back to 9/11. I know that we didn't start that, but you had 2 towers come down. 3 towers came down. One wasn't even hit. It decided to fall that night.
Just blew the fuck up.
2 of them came down. And they told you it was because of
It really
steel and it
blew
was
the
a
fuck up. It
structure
said,
and they pancaked and this and that. They gave you every reason in the world why that fire was so intense. And it took it down.
And we're not going to discuss it.
Well, about 10 years later, the bank, the Deutsche Bank, which was across the fucking way, was on fire. It was a steel and concrete building. It burned for hours. Never fell. Never fell to the ground. Ever. So what the fuck? So why did these buildings fall, but the Deutsche Bank building didn't fall? Sorry for being so loud, but that's
Because that
my
bank didn't
point.
have asbestos in it, and they couldn't have and they didn't have.
asbestos.
That was look, I'm not going to get off an advocate.
Again, 9/11 is a whole different
Look,
topic.
9/11, first of all, if you want to know who did 9/11, find out who took the gold that was under 9/11. Under
Nixon?
what? Nixon was dead by that time. Maybe his ghost did it. I don't know.
The ghost of Nixon.
Okay, find out where the missing gold is that was in the vaults under
Okay.
under the World Trade Center.
We're getting completely.
I know,
off
but
topic
it
here.
all comes down to basically one thing: control. We're being
control
controlled
over the money.
over money.
I feel like I'm in the Matrix.
And how we can make more money and spend our hard-earned money for them.
Okay.
That's where the marketing comes in, because it's like you just make things like Apple, Verizon phones, all this type of stuff, TVs, all this stuff. They find ways for us to spend money.
Yep. And weak-minded, stupid people don't work hard enough, so they fucking, you know what? Hey, I'll give you what you want, no problem. Yeah, you want $50? I'll give you $50. But I need to have that new Michael Jackson shoe. Oh my God, he's so great. He was the great. Him and his glove, I love that. Can I buy a glove? I want to buy a glove. Can I get it for $100? The fuck away from me with that shit. I'm so tired of that shit. It's weak-minded, stupid people do weak-minded, stupid things.
Michael Jackson never made shoes.
I was trying to think of The other,
Michael
mean
Jordan.
Michael Jordan, Jackson Jordan, whatever. No offense to our African brothers out there, but you know what? That's the way I.
One of them.
Hey guys, I've been shoveling snow for 2 days.
Pool, bro. Like,
I'm fucking tired and hungry.
How can you get that confused, man?
No, okay. So yeah, I understand that, and the problem with all of that is you have to sit there.
Joke, by the way.
You have to sit there and you have to ask, how do you fix it, or not fix it, but how do you
attack this problem?
Not attack the problem.
2 words, simple. Wake up. Wake up. Hold people accountable. My biggest problem in life, I'll tell you right now, when I work,
that's something that's very big. Not to cut you off, that we don't really like respect due process because we have everything like so instantly now that we don't like want to respect. We don't want to respect evidence and like due process, even though like it is a corrupt system. But there is a process to things, because then you're gonna have so many different stories come out, and then you're not even gonna believe what the hell's the truth anymore, which kind of does go into like why social media and shit like that isn't all as reliable as people think it is. Like, oh, it's news, this and the third, but it's just like, how reliable is it? Like, where are you getting it? Going back to the whole journalism thing, like you have to be skeptical about sort of shit.
Journalism
shit like
these days is not at all.
It's all opinion based.
It's not factual. It's all opinion based.
You gotta just be able to cater to people and not be able to hurt people's feelings, and you gotta just be a bitch and just.
Journalism is not what it was.
That's your biggest problem.
30,
right
40 years ago.
I mean, years ago,
not even 30. It was more than 50 years ago. Like,
you had to report the news. This is what happened. This is what happened. This is the cause of what happened. Now you got you can go to CNN.
These are my sources.
Right. They'll never name the sources. You go to CNN. They tell you it's news, but it's all slanted to what they want. You go to Fox, same thing on the other side. And then at night they have the opinion shows. The Sean Hannity's, everything with him is Democrats are bad. And then you got the Laura Ingraham, the same fucking thing. But then you go on the other side, you got Chris Cuomo and another fucking fruitcake at 10 o'clock. What the hell's his name? I can't think of his name. The black guy.
Don Lemon.
Don Lemon, moron that he is. These are guys, the Republicans are bad. Trump's bad. Trump's and after a while, you got to sit there and go, why am I being told this shit? I don't need you to tell me this. So I don't watch it. I literally stopped watching it because I couldn't take it anymore. It was just like, I don't like what they're saying on CNN. And Fox gets crazy. They're out there like everything is CNN's fault or whatever. So somewhere in the middle, the truth lies. But where it lies is where we're being controlled. If you can find that middle ground, if you can find the part that actually speaks and says, look, this is what's going on, and you got it right. You can change it if you want, but you're going to have to fight the people that have the money. And who's got the money? The banks.
The
Rothschilds. It all comes down, again, money. It comes down to money. Anyway, Joe, are we almost done here? Because it's getting colder. I don't know if you feel it, but I'm freezing my balls off over here.
Yeah, I think I definitely enjoyed this topic, and we do need to do a lot more.
Well, let's do. This was like a preamble. I think the next time we can stick to one.
It's hard to do that. We tried. I even had it set up. We don't stick to one. It goes on, and then we're like a fucking organ grinder, and we're sitting there like, oh look, and then it's like, oh, next time we come out as aliens. It's aliens, and the aliens are touching the Rothschilds, and the Rothschilds now are touching lizard people, and it's like, and now the aliens and the lizard people are fucking each other and becoming lizard aliens. It's and I don't know how the fuck Epstein came into this motherfucker came out of nowhere. The lizard people on Epstein Island. I'm saying, what the fuck did he just pull that out of thin air?
Well, so we're gonna have to practice staying on one subject, but
it's all connected.
It's all connected.
That's the thing.
I want a picture. Hold on.
Maybe I'll be rambling, but
I want a picture of just Eric's face going, and then just a giant world inside of his eye.
Well, I want to get.
It's all connected.
I want to do our shirts, and I want to get us all the four of us in a shirt, and in a picture, so we can put that on the website, and that would be good.
I was thinking about doing promo shots also.
I'm gonna work on my design for what I want. I got you.
Cool. All
right, Josh. As long as that hat's involved, I don't care.
Oh, I got you for real.
All right, Josh, take us out. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening, and
to me.
We'll catch you on the next episode, which I would love to do about the Cecil Hotel.
All right. Well, let's discuss it, and we'll get back to
And we will stick to that one.
Yes, that's a lot to stick to. That's a lot.
Okay.
Because of a long
everybody.
history.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening. Next time.